getting everything set up. I'm trying out something new. I've done webinars before, but I have not used the YouTube and Google Hangouts webinar style. So this one's new to me. So please excuse me for just a second here as I get set up. I apologize that it's taking a minute. There we go. So what you should see on your screen should be a PowerPoint presentation. It's got a gray background with some yellow letters. This is for journal writing for mindfulness and self-care. And so that's what you should see pop up on your screen. And here we go. From the looks of things, it's working. Yay. Okay. Oops. Sorry. Went a little funny there. Okay, let's try it again. Okay, I think I've got it now. My apologies. All right, so I am trying out a new webinar system here. I've, like I mentioned, I've done webinars in the past, but I haven't used this specific program. This is just my second time using this program, so please forgive if I make any errors, technical errors as I'm going along, but I've got a really interesting topic that I'd like to share with you. This is a new topic, journal writing for mindfulness and self-care. And I'm an academic, and I am just beginning into a research project on this topic because I honestly find it to be absolutely fascinating. Sorry, we apparently are having some trouble with the thingy thing. Let's see if we can fix this. I apologize. Let's see if I can get this to work out a little bit better. Apparently the slideshow is coming up a bit funny. So let's see if we can improve that. Okay. Hopefully that is correct. I apologize for that mistake. Didn't realize that it was not coming across correctly. So I hope that that is an improvement there. Okay, there we go. So now you should see the PowerPoint. Again, my apologies. All right, so this is a topic that I am starting into a research project on, and the more that I look into this, the more excited that I am about it. And the reason that I'm doing this webinar today is because I've got some great information that I want to share with you, and you'll see why pretty soon here. We are at a state in our society where we are more stressed out, more depressed, more anxious than we have ever been in the past. And I actually think that journal writing is one way that we can put in place a practice that can help people, help them decrease their stress levels, decrease their depression and anxiety levels, and hopefully kind of balance some things out, because we just can't have a society that continues with people feeling terrible. That's not a good situation. So this is what we're going to be covering today. And here is me and Jason. Jason's the owner of On Demand Instruction, the publishing company. I've been an educator for 20 years. I teach writing, literature, and business. And I have a strong personal interest in writing, not just writing for publishing purposes or for academic purposes, but my strongest interest is actually in how writing can be used for personal improvement. So how people can do journal writing and diary writing and memoir work to have mental and emotional improvements. That's something that I'm very interested in. And I do have 2 master's degrees, got a couple of those racked up so far. So that is me. And I'll be presenting this webinar for you. So my purposes for today are to present what journal writing is and how you can start into a journal writing practice, and how you can achieve a sense of mindfulness and a practice of self-care. So that is what we're going for today, okay? I want to teach you a little bit about those things and hope to send you on your way in a manner that you have some problem-solving tools some things that you can start doing very literally today to start to improve your own situation. Okay, so why are we talking about journal writing and self-care? So believe it or not, and I'm sad to announce this, but anger, fear, despair, hopelessness, and alienation have become typical. They have become average. They have become normal because they are so extraordinarily widespread amongst our population. If you spend 5 minutes on Facebook, you'll see that it's true. People are communicating about anger, about fear, about despair. It's terrible. It's a terrible situation, and we can do something about this. There are solutions. So why is this a problem? Well, it is a problem because when you're experiencing those kinds of low emotions, they can lead to mental or emotional imbalances and even lead to mental health issues. So those can be continuous issues or they can be acute short-term issues, but either way, they're not a good situation. So where do we see the effects of stress? So stress is kind of the beginning point. It starts out with stress and then it leads into some of these other things. The effects might come out where you may not expect them to. So for example, I've taught for 20 years and I see the effects of stress every day. Suicide is the #2 reason for death in teenagers. And I find that statistic to be absolutely abhorrent. It's terrifying and terrible to me that this happens to our kids. Some statistics you may be unfamiliar with, and I was unfamiliar with until I started to research this topic, but white men account for 70% of suicides. This is for the year of 2015. That statistic surprised me. I didn't expect that. For every actual suicide death, there are 25 attempts. That's scary stuff. 18% of Americans have an anxiety disorder, and that number is increasing. And I've run into a couple of different numbers so far, but it looks like depression disorders are somewhere in the range of 14 to 30%. So I include that full range because I'm coming across multiple data points there. So suffice it to say that there are a multitude of reasons, but one thing is certain. Stress-related illnesses are on the rise for every age group, every demographic, and every ethnicity. Not good. Not good at all. Okay, so where are we now? As of today, right now, here on this day, according to the World Health Organization, depression has increased by 60% and will become the second most prevalent medical condition in the world. Not just in the West, not just in America, in the world. Depression. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reported that antidepressant use in the United States rose by 400% between 1998 and 2008. 400%. Oh my gosh. Similarly, take a look at another country. Japan. Diagnosis of depressions doubled between 1999 and 2008, and Japan has the highest suicide rate according to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. The highest suicide rate. That's terrible. Okay, so why is this happening? What's going on here? We've got some ugly statistics, some things that we don't want to be occurring. You wouldn't want this on your worst enemy. So what's going on? Well, our food lacks nutrients. We spend too much time sitting. We aren't outdoors enough. We expect too much from technology, especially in our emotional and mental needs. We're spending too much time on technology and we are expecting too much from it. We have too few human interactions and we engage in too many technology-based activities and in too few hands-on activities. Have you noticed the resurgence of crafting, cooking? People are becoming more interested in cooking or knitting. I've noticed a lot of people knitting, men and women, both children. I think that people are going back to hands-on activities as a better way of living. But if you say, okay, this is interesting, but that's not me. I'm not depressed. I don't have anxiety. I'm stressed, sure, but I'm not in a really bad place. That's okay. That's okay. Neither am I. Thank goodness. Let's be grateful for that. I'm not depressed. I'm not anxious, but my life is stressful, and I can use an outlet for that stress. I'll be honest with you. I could. So in my life, I've got kids, dogs, my spouse, work, my house, my car, expenses I've got to keep track of, and trying to get everything done between exercising and reading and watching the movie that's been sitting on my TV stand for weeks. I get pretty stressed out. I'll be honest with you. I do. I get pretty stressed out about trying to get everything done. And sometimes I just feel like I don't have enough time to get all the things done that I really want to do. And for me, the things that I want to do, the things I really love doing, I like reading books, I like spending time writing, I like going for hikes, and I like hanging out with my family, doing stuff like playing games, playing board games. We love to do that. So if you are not a person who is experiencing depression and anxiety, that's okay. That's good. I'm thrilled for that. But we're still in a situation of where we live in a society where many, many people are experiencing significant levels of stress that are pushing into depression and anxiety. Okay, so what can we do? How can we tackle this stress? Okay, these are the things I'm going to tell you about. So we're going to talk about journal writing, and we're going to talk about how journal writing can create a sense of mindfulness to us, or for us, and how we can also use journal writing as part of our self-care routines. Okay, journal writing really is all positive. We can use it in very positive ways to do a lot for us to decrease our stress levels. Very positive. There are many connections between journal writing and stress reduction. We're going to explore those. And the reason that I chose journal writing as my topic for this webinar specifically is because the connections between journal writing and stress relief are some of the strongest connections. Journal writing as well is accessible by anyone. You don't even have to have supplies, really, to do journal writing. The 25-cent pencil and $1 notebook, you're ready to go. So it doesn't take anything expensive or fancy. The cost is minimal in both time and money. That's a big positive. Okay, so what does journal writing do specifically to lower people's stress? This is important here. So for many writers, journal writing creates the possibility of getting people to reflect on their thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. That's pretty good. It gets people to explore solutions. So you get out of that thought process of the problems, and you get into the thought process of solutions. It also gives people an outlet to express that which is hard to put into words. Flannery O'Connor has a wonderful quote. I should have written it down, but I didn't. I apologize. But she has a wonderful quote that's along the lines of, I'm not sure what I think until I write it down and I can see what I'm thinking from the words that I've written down. And I think that's true for many of us. We have so many thoughts running around in our minds, and sometimes we need to jot those things down on paper before we can think through them. Sometimes that is true. Journal writing can also change negative emotions and energy into positive ones. I can't think of anything better than that. Taking the negative and turning it into positive. It also tends to increase tolerance of other people, ideas, and situations. Is something I think my whole country needs. Increase our tolerance of other people, ideas, and situations. I can spend about 2 minutes on Facebook before I run across people who are arguing. They're disagreeing, and they're disagreeing in an ugly way. They've lost that sense of tolerance and need to get that sense of tolerance back so they can have a good civil conversation, a useful conversation. Journal writing also can lower emotional reactivity to people and situations. So when you're in a situation and just all of a sudden your heart starts pumping and you're feeling emotional, and you may be feeling fearful or angry or negative in some way. That's that emotional reactivity. By journal writing, we can start to turn that knob down and lower the emotional reactivity, and that's a really good thing. Okay, so that all sounds pretty good. So how does journal writing connect to mindfulness? Okay, so let's take a look at what mindfulness is. I've got two definitions for you here. So mindfulness is the quality or state of being conscious or aware of something. Our second definition, mindfulness is a mental state achieved by focusing one's awareness on the present moment while calmly acknowledging and accepting one's feelings, thoughts, and bodily sensations, used as a therapeutic technique. That sounds pretty good. Mindfulness as time. I think of it in terms of time. I think of mindfulness as a moment when time slows down. Most of my life is spent at a fast pace, with me running from one activity to the next one. And when I journal, I'm able to capture a moment of mindfulness when time slows to a pace where I can be calm, think about things, and focus on solutions instead of problems. I don't know about you, but that's something that I really can use in my life. I'm a professional. I work hard. I work a lot. And being able to slow time down to focus and to focus on solutions helps me pretty significantly. So now let's also take a look at the idea of self-care. So self-care is any action that a person takes to achieve balanced physical or mental health. So for me, this is just me, but for me, a short-term self-care activity usually feels more like a necessity than actual self-care. So for example, I hear people talking about going to get a haircut or shoe shopping or get a bubble bath. They'll think of that as self-care. And I do think that they're right. I do think it is self-care. But for me personally, I tend to seek out a self-care activity that is going to have a longer lasting effect. Because yes, I can go get my hair cut and that's going to last for a certain amount of time. And I can have a bubble bath or go shoe shopping, but again, that's going to wear off pretty quickly. Whereas if I can get myself into the habit of journal writing, I'm going to have a longer lasting effect from that. So this is why I journal. So not only does journal writing allow me a moment of mindfulness, but in my experience, it gives me an in-depth self-care activity. It has that lasting effect. That's something that I'm going for. So after I journal, my mind tends to be engaged, my stress level is lowered, and my sense of overall well-being is increased for a longer period of time. So I can get a better bang for my buck out of journal writing than a bubble bath. That's me. Okay, so that sounds pretty good. If you like the sound of being more mindful and taking care of yourself with a simple activity that helps in stress relief, then I'd hope that you'll consider journal writing. I think it might be for you. I think that this really can help a lot of people. So I want to tell you about challenges because I don't want you to jump into it and then realize, oh my gosh, bad things happened. I wasn't able to keep up with it. So I want to let you know what the challenges typically are ahead of time so that you can foresee these potential challenges happening. So journal writing takes time. So we're accustomed in our contemporary society to pushing a button and getting instantaneous results. And that's not how journal writing works. I'm sorry to say, I wish it did, but it's not. So although many people can experience a positive effect from journal writing, it is unlikely that will happen on the first day. Journal writing is an ongoing process. It works with dedication. You've got to have some dedication to it. Put in a regular schedule, put in a regular time of day, stick to it, and continue with it. Although it would be great if we could dash off a few words once a month and be done with it. Journal writing is the kind of thing that does take dedication. Dedication to a schedule to be most effective. And sometimes it can be a bit of a challenge to begin. For some people, they're just, they haven't done it in a while. And I was this way when I sat down to journal for the first time in, I don't even know how many years, probably 20 years. It was a challenge to think about, how do I start this thing? Because even though with the best of intentions, we can have a hard time getting started with it. When we begin any new activity, it can take practice to get into that state of mind and to keep up our motivation to keep going. And I find it interesting, and you probably know what I'm talking about here, when I say that sometimes when we're doing things for ourselves, we'll be more likely to push that on the back burner and save that for later. But those are the things we really need to be doing, taking care of ourselves and thinking about those kinds of activities. Okay, so we've talked about challenges. Let's talk solutions here, okay? What can you do to start into a journal writing practice and to do it in a way that's going to continue, that's going to push you on a path to reaching towards stress relief and relief of those yucky emotions? So one thing I want you to do is set yourself up for success, okay? What does it mean to set yourself up for success? Well, I've actually got 5 steps that I'm going to cover with you on the next slide, but I want you to know that we're going to talk about that, setting yourself up for success, okay? I want you to have a plan for your journal writing. So I don't want you to just run out, buy an expensive journal, come home and sit down and go, okay, where's my inspiration? Uh-oh, what happened here? If you've got more of a plan, especially in that beginning, to get you started, you'll be more successful. I also want you to look at getting support. The way you can get support is to connect to a journal writing course or a group. There are groups popping up all over the place about mindfulness, about self-care, and about journal writing. I'm seeing these in my town where I live. I've seen them at the library, I've seen them at the rec center, and I've also seen them at an art gallery. There's an art gallery that teaches a lot of classes, and I've noticed that they have 2 that are around journal writing. That's a great opportunity. It really is. So if you have the chance to join up with the group, and I'm going to show you a course coming up here that could be of value to you. But if you have the opportunity of joining up with the group, I think it's hard to go wrong when you're connecting with other people. It can add in a sense of accountability that can keep you writing. Okay, let's talk about setting ourselves up for success. What do we mean by that? How are we going to do that? And if you've got a notepad out, I hope you're taking some notes on this one to get these steps down. So how do we do this? Okay, first thing I want you to do is to choose your journal writing format, okay? I want you to think of your space, your schedule, and your accoutrements or your stuff, okay? So space, I want you to have a space where you can write. If it's on the couch with your feet up on the ottoman, great. If it's at the kitchen table, great. If it's at a standing desk, fine. If it's at your lunch hour, taking a notepad with you, perfect. If it's while you are commuting and you take the bus or the train or something like that, that's excellent. So I want you to think about what kind of a space do you need to set yourself up for journal writing. I also want you to think about a schedule. If you can work in journal writing every day, I recommend you do it. I know it seems like, oh my gosh, every day, are you kidding? I'm so stressed out already. I've got so many things going on already. And you're telling me to journal write? That's crazy. I totally get it. I really do. I want you to think about schedule, okay? And I want you to think about setting a specific schedule. And journal writing, you don't have to journal write for, 2 hours or something long like this. Not at all. You can do it for 10 minutes. 15 minutes, that's completely fine. Taking those little baby steps, moving into the practice, that's going to create a really positive pattern and turn that into a ritual for you. And then accoutrements, I want you to think about your stuff. Do you need to have a hot cup of coffee? Do you need to have a bright lamp? Do you need to have quiet in your house? Do you need to have your headphones in with music playing? What do you need to have? your stuff we're talking about here, to be able to do that, okay? To be able to journal write. Think about also how you'll do the actual physical writing. Are you going to do it on a laptop? Are you going to use a journal, an actual book journal? Are you going to use a typewriter? And yes, I said that right, typewriter. Some people do use typewriters. I ran into a group recently and tried it out myself, and it's actually unbelievably fun. If you're a person who gets distracted easily, especially by social media and email and all that stuff that's on the internet, typewriter can be a fantastic solution to that, because you still get the keyboard, but without email and Facebook and instant message and all of that bothering you. Okay, so that's step one. Choose your journal format. Choose your space, your schedule, and your stuff. Step two, choose your style. There are many different styles for journal writing. You can do book journaling, gratitude journaling, goal setting around journaling, brain dumping, storytelling, and reflective journaling. Okay, there are a lot of different styles of journal writing that you can do, and they tend to appeal to different people. So you may have more of the personality of a reader who loves to have a book going all the time, or maybe you have a couple of books going, and so book journaling may really appeal to you. Person who has done some gratitude journaling in the past and you want to recapture what you did with that activity, gratitude journaling, absolutely a valuable means of getting those words on the page. Goal setting, if you have a hard time setting a goal and then meeting your goal, goal setting in your journal can be a very positive way to reach your goals, regardless of what they are. If you're trying to lose weight or do something at work, or get the words on the page, maybe you want to write a novel, goal setting, journaling around your goal setting can be very positive. It's another method that's called brain dumping, which is basically where you are just brainstorming, just everything that comes to mind. You kind of dump it on the page. Brain dumping always reminds me of Harry Potter. I don't know if you read that series of books, but there is a scene in the book, and then they also put it in the film, where Dumbledore has so much information. He has so many memories in his mind that he takes some of the memories out and puts them into a bowl. This bowl collects the memories. And because he has too much in his head. And I think that many of us experience that too. I think that many of us feel like, I have too much going on in my head. I have too many thoughts. I have too many ideas. I have too much to do. I am too busy. And so that can be pretty overwhelming. So that's brain dumping. Storytelling, this is creative writing, okay? This can go into poetry. It can be creating scenes that could go into drama. It's short stories, could move into the memoir, the novel. But yes, creative writing in your journal writing, absolutely a valid technique. And the last one I want to tell you about today is reflective journaling. This is where you're looking back on things that have happened to you in the past, things you've experienced in the past. Some of us suffer with guilt, or having negative thoughts about things that have happened in the past, regret. And so if we can think through those things and journal about those and focus on solutions and focus on being positive, we can start to let go of some of that stress that is affecting us in present. Okay, so that's step number 2, which is to choose your style. Step number 3 is to choose your audience. You can write to anybody. So as you're journal writing, you can write to yourself, you can write to your cat, you can write to a child, a friend, you can write to your deity, you can write to a variety of different people, or your cat. But yeah, choose your audience, because the way that you address a journal and how you think about your audience is going to alter your purpose in the writing. And I'm not saying that you have to share this with that person. You don't have to share your journal writing with anybody. It can be just yours, and that's it. But if you think about your audience, if you want that to be a particular person, it can help to focus your writing, and that can be a powerful tool to ensure your success as you're working through it. Okay, that's number 3. So number 4 is to use prompts to write in your chosen style. So what happens to a lot of people is that they say, okay, I'm going to journal right now, and I'm going to sit down and I'm going to start journal writing. and they sit down and they're like, I have no clue where to start. No ideas are coming, no thoughts. They're like, yeah, just totally blank. This is where writing prompts can be incredibly useful. So, I mean, you can spend 5 seconds on Pinterest and just, search for writing prompts for journals, and you can come up with tons and tons of different options. That's a good way to get yourself started, to get through that kind of fuzzy brain feeling, to get through writer's block, and to get words on the page. And then last step, number 5, I want you to evaluate, reflect, and adjust as you are writing. So you started your journal writing practice. Let's say that you start and you're working on your journal for 15 minutes a day right after everyone's woken up and started their day, and your house is noisy and people are bugging you and things are happening and it's blah, 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 blah. And then after you do this for a week, you realize, I'm not getting anything out of this. You might evaluate that situation and reflect back on it and realize it's maybe too loud. And then maybe you need to adjust, maybe getting up a little earlier or doing your journaling at a different time, like at night, when it is quiet, when you can focus, when you can get the words on the page in a manner that works out better for you. So feel free to evaluate, reflect, and adjust as needed, because I expect that what you start with in your practice is not how you will end. I expect those things will probably change. Okay, so those are the 5 steps. Let me review those for you quickly. Number 1 is to choose your journal format. That's space, schedule, and accoutrements or stuff. Step 2 is to choose your style, book journaling, gratitude journaling, and so forth. Step 3 is to choose your audience. So do you want to write to a child, yourself, a friend, so forth? Step 4 is to use prompts to write in your chosen style. So these are to get you over the hump and keep you going, keep you moving, keep the ideas coming. And step 5 is to evaluate, reflect, and adjust all along the way. Okay, so now you're thinking, this sounds actually okay. I think journal writing sounds like something I could do, and it might relieve some stress. So yeah, actually, I am pretty interested in that. Okay, but I think I need support. I think most of us do, to be completely honest with you. I definitely work with a support system myself for my own writing, and I do think that having support for your writing can be incredibly helpful. So this is what I have for you today. It's a course called Journal Writing for Mindfulness and Self-Care. It is an online self-paced course that is available in a totally online format. Okay, and it will take you through all of those styles of journaling that I covered with you earlier, and get you started into a journal writing practice so that you can be successful. Okay, so what does this course cover? Okay, so in this course, we're covering how to begin a journal writing practice. Okay, and each of these, I've got videos, I've got activities, and I've got 3 different handouts for you that you can use for your journal writing practice, okay, to get yourself started. So this course is going to start off with how to begin a journaling practice, okay? So those first steps that you need to take to get yourself sitting at the table and starting with journaling. Also, we're going to take a look at successful actions for writing. I've been teaching writing for about 20 years, and I've got some good tips and tricks that I want to share with you because I want to help make this workable for people, okay? My entire career, I've been out to help people, offer people solutions, do things to, get people on the right track. It's just my mindset. It's the person I am and always have been. And I've got some good tips and tricks that I want to share with you because I want to help to make this work for you. I've also got some great techniques for mindfulness and self-care. Okay, so we're going to tap into those techniques. We'll also take a look at book journaling pretty intensively. With book journaling, I've got a really nice couple of lists of books that I recommend to take a look at that can be very useful for book journaling. I also give you some creative writing prompts and information on gratitude and acknowledgement journaling, as well as values journaling. Which is journaling about your values, those things that are important to you. So it's a really good course, just over 2 hours in the videos, but they're broken down individually into about 15-minute segments, something like that. And what are the outcomes of this course? So this course really is for anyone who experiences stress and would like support in journal writing. It's about support. Since journal writing can help relieve stress, this course can start writers on their way to establishing a stress reduction practice. So if you don't know how to journal, you can learn here. If you do know how to journal, this can help you get on track with the solid practice and stay on track with the solid practice. This can give you the supports that you may be needing. There are 3 handouts that are also included in this course. I'll tell you about those. One is a 30-day journal writing plan that tells you what to do each day for 30 days. The other one is a 90-day journal writing plan. So for 3 months, you could follow this day by day by day by day by day, and it tells you exactly what to do each day so that you know exactly what it is you're supposed to be doing and you can stay on track. And I think we all know from experience of trying out something new or trying out something different, that once you do something for 30 days or for 90 days, now you're in the habit of doing it, and now you can keep going. You get there, I've got a link for you here. This is where you can find the course. It's ondemandinstruction.com/shop, and look for this picture here, the white on the top and the light blue on the bottom, Journal Writing for Mindfulness and Self-Care. The course will be there, and you can click on that, and it will open up and give you the rest, any more information that you're looking at. Okay, so what support exists outside of class? Well, you can email anytime, okay? You can reach out and say, you know what, I'm having a hard time with this particular item, or this, you know, I've got a question about this, or I thought I understood this, but I don't think I actually do. So now I'm not sure what to do. You know, you can just reach out, just reach out and ask for help. Always happy to help. That's, like I said earlier, it's been my purpose, and it is my purpose. All right, and if you're the person who says, a course sounds interesting, but really is not for me, no big deal, no problem. I'm actually working on writing a book right now on this topic, and I'll be releasing this book sometime this spring. So if you go to ondemandinstruction.com/subscribe, this will allow you to subscribe to the blog. And the blog only comes out once a week. It's not a spammy thing. It's just a once a week blog that will give you information on writing and different kinds of tips and tricks to keep your writing, to improve your writing practice, to make writing better for you. And so if you go there, you can subscribe. And as soon as the book is released and available, you'll know about it, because I'll send out a message to let everybody know. Myself personally, I love ordering in a book. I'm a book kind of person. I love, gosh, I don't even know how many hundreds of books that I have. But I've got tons. And for me, for doing journal writing, I would love to just, kind of order in a book, and that would work out really well for me. Person, go ahead and subscribe, and then you'll get the message when the book is released. And I just want to thank you for showing up. I really appreciate it. I hope that somewhere in this video you found something of value. I hope that you got some little tidbit that jumps out to you and makes you go, oh gosh, you know what, that was helpful. I can use that today. I would like to start journal writing. I could use some stress reduction. That sounds okay. So I hope that there was something in here that helped you. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I don't want to hold you from your other activities. I know you've got a lot going on. Check out the blog at ondemandinstruction.com and enjoy a lovely day. And as always, good luck with your writing. I hope it goes wonderfully. Take care.